with software like Tinkerplay, which is an app you can download for iPad or iPhone. My 4 and 5-year-olds play with it. So you drag from a catalog of parts and you build toys that will then separate by color, or you can just print it all in one color, and then they snap together. So they're interchangeable parts that create articulated toys, and so you can print yours and take all the parts and throw it in a box, and then someone else can come back later and manipulate and play with it too. Which I hope will then go into other makerspaces for like animation and things like that. So another intermediate challenge would be working with something called Sugru, which is like a moldable plastic that when it dries, it becomes basically attached to anything that you put it on. So you can manipulate and modify existing products, you can hack all sorts of different things, you can repair things, like I need to fix my cord on my MacBook. It's desperate need of this stuff. So. Another the advanced challenges would include something like downloading a sophisticated plan for an object and then fabricating all the parts and then putting this together. One of our students that was here Wednesday, printed out multiple parts of this thing from a game that she plays, and it's like she's going to integrate an iPad or iPhone into it. Another advance would be working with this organization and enabling the future to maybe on a team of students to build a prosthetic device for a child in need. So that's kind of one of my goals for our group, is to maybe build 2 of these a year as a sort of a club type thing, or a team building type thing where we fabricate a hand and we send it off. So they'll send us a plan, and they'll pair us with someone, and they'll send us a plan, and we'll print and fabricate that. So that's essentially what our space is going to be. It's going to be exploring and working with 3-dimensional objects in space and different materials. So.
And so what challenges or questions do you have for the group? What can we help you to think about or do?
Mainly just where can we be, right? Other than just my room, because I mean, I'm way in the back. I want to be able to pull this printer out and bring it maybe to other classes and show them what we do with 3D printing, or with this. Suggestions, if you have ideas, if you have problems that you need solved, bring it to the students, challenge them to solve a problem. We're sort of looking for places in the school to be and help out. So I've talked to our special populations teacher about working with kids to see how we can maybe fulfill a need there with augmenting pencils or forks or spoons or whatever there's lots of things out there already. Students can print and see and put them in practice, and then see, well, how can we change that? How can we manipulate that? So just feedback to the students and support in that way, I guess, by coming up with challenges. Or if you see a need, tell them, hey, I saw this, maybe you guys should check into that.
Awesome. So then we got 3 minutes to ask you clarifying questions. Anything you want to know more about, 3 minutes to ask Mr. Puckett questions.
How long does it typically take to print stuff?
It depends. It all depends on the complexity of the object. So, for example, Rachel's gauntlet that she made that had several parts, maybe like 10 pieces. It took 3 days to print all the parts. And that was printing overnight. Like we would set stuff up, it would print during the day, and if it finished, I would start something else and it would print overnight. So it could take an hour if it's something small, like my little Doctor Who keychain over there, or it could be, several days, a week. I mean, I would think that hand, I'm going to try to do one this summer, is probably going to take a week at least to print all the parts. It might not, I don't know. Just depends.
How much do you need in the way of supplies for the printing material?
Well,
Because it seems like that consumable could go really quickly.
It doesn't. I still have the same 5 spools that I bought when I bought the printer, and we printed lots of things, so it goes pretty far. I would like to expand and do different types of plastic so they could see the difference in the material and understand the limitations or whatever. There's also now, I just read an article about flexible materials, so you can print shoes that actually will bend. So if they want to think about maybe providing shoes for people who need shoes, then we can do that too. So they could go in and design a sneaker if they wanted to and actually wear it. It's a bendable type material. Probably be more like a Croc, but there's lots of possibilities for that. That would involve a different print head for the printer, but it's a pretty easy mod, and the material for that's about $10 more per spool. So a spool is done by weight. It doesn't really take a lot to print an object. Like Rachel barely made a dent in her 10-piece setup. Like I mean, it was hardly noticeable that it was gone. So it goes a long way.
How quickly can you move this printer and 3D scanner or whatever down to a space and set up?
It's very portable. The printer doesn't have to be connected to a computer. The plans are housed on an SD card, so that's one of my expenses is buying extra cards so kids can fill them up, and then we'll have a system for getting things printed so that people are in a queue. But no, it's very portable. I can put it on a cart. Put the scanner is on a tripod. It's a handheld scanner, so it's really easy to do.
Awesome. So now we have 5 to 7 to 8 minutes to talk as a group. What did we hear? What's exciting? What are we wondering about? What might be problematic? That kind of thing. And Mr. Puckett's supposed to listen because he's going to say back what he heard at the end.
I think it's awesome that kids can see the function of something as complex as the hand, but something as simple as I've screwed up my charger for my whatever, and I can fix something like that.
I just want to say for the record, I didn't do that.
Well,
just from so much use over the years.
Right. But they do that. They rip it out of the wall, and I really think that they can appreciate the simplicity of that all the way to the higher level of being able to do something as awesome as that.
I like the social justice aspect of it. I like this idea, which I've heard from many of you, about, we want to engage young people in doing things that are personally beneficial and meaningful, but also thinking about service and how this kind of work can benefit others. So that's really exciting for me.
I like the way that Rob articulated it as, like leveling up, that there are entry, low barrier ways to sort of play, and then there are very clear steps where you can make, when you're ready to make to go up to the next level. And in the presentation, it was really sketched out well. I could see how you would want to start with this thing and then move on. And I was kind of wondering if that was going to be explicit, the idea of leveling up, or if it was just conceptual, like where the student's going to somehow be able to, I don't know, get a badge or something like leveling up. I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting the way he was talking about it as levels.
From our perspective, from my perspective as a teacher, I learned this week that, yeah, that's definitely the goal, is for them to level up, and not only for them to find that initial interest, but then take that a step further. Just like when we talk about ours later, it's the same kind of concept of, well, we created this little thing, and like he said, take it apart, build something else with it, and go from there, and even take it to another level of maybe causing it to be something useful in a different way. But I think that's the whole goal of all this, is to get them to level up. And yes, there's going to be some leading as far as leveling them up at some point, but even to the point that they are going, well, why can't I? And let's figure it out. And not let there be a why can't I, and let's just do it. That was my perception. Y'all jump in.
And now Rich would like to jump in.
We've canned it. Sorry, it's been a week. It's no more.
Any more talking? More questions? No. I was very thorough or very forward in information.
We can move on. So what did you hear, Mr. Puckett?
That people are interested in the personal aspect of what kids can do here, as well as service-oriented work. You know, doing something for a larger cause other than just kind of print a trinket, you know, which I'm not opposed to because I'm all about the trinkets. They're fun to give away, so I want them to feel comfortable coming in and doing that and learning how to use those tools, but also to think about how can I use this really amazing tool to fabricate things that might make a bigger difference than just making somebody feel good because they got a cool, you know, Pokemon keychain or whatever. So that's one thing I heard. Leveling up steps, we've talked about that. We've planned that so that we have a series of sort of cards where students come in and they can pick. I don't necessarily see it as, yeah, you are leveling up, but you don't have to do the new steps to go to an intermediate. If you really want to break that challenge off and try it, that's great. There's something to be learned from failing. We all learned that here this week because we've all done something and it didn't work out, so we had to either try something new with it or do something different. Start over. So
one of the things we worked on this week in our example demo makerspace is these cards that are challenged up, you know, new to pro level. So you know, pass those around. We have 4 sets of those. You can kind of see how that works, so that when folks come into the makerspace, they can watch what other people are doing. They can do it. But if folks who really want to read directions and kind of sense of, all right, how do I get started? Can look at these two.
go ahead.
How many kids can you service at a time?
I don't really see it as being me servicing them so much as just, I've got 20 computers in my room, 20 plus computers, so 20 kids can be in there on computers and then 5 or 10 more could be over at the table working on cube crafts. I've got light tables, I've got cutting tables, you know, so at some point I was like, that's kind of a lot of people. As long as they're working on things, I will try to squeeze as many as I can, but you know, so like if I'm in the commons area doing a pop-up space for CubeCraft, you know, however many X-Acto blades I have is, you know, however many kids can cut, right? So, it just depends on what's going on, what space I'm in. So if I'm in my room and we're meeting in my room that day, then probably 30 kids could be in there working if they wanted to. Can you get a badge? We've talked about that. We made a badge for ourselves. I made a badge for us to give out for makerspace planner or builder. What was it called?
Makerspace designer.
Makerspace designer. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, that's something that's a possibility. Kids will be able to add badges through a badging system through Mozilla or DIY or something like that. And then I heard also someone say something about collaborating and working together. That's something that I think just naturally happens in those spaces. You know, people are always just willing to look over someone's shoulder to see what they're doing and maybe offer some advice or just learn from what they're doing. And I sort of want to take that to the next level with having kids think about taking on a larger project together and thinking through that. So that's what I heard.
Awesome. Thank you.
Look for our flag in the hallway. That's where we'll be.
So next up, we got the music lab, Mr. Howard.
So when Mike approached me about creating this makerspace, my first thought was, what is the common denominator? What is something that a lot of people are going to be interested in doing? And I'm sure you guys know, walking around the halls, every single person has got headphones on, it seems like. And if you want to say something to them, it's always, you have to call their name 8,000 times to get them to take their headphones out and pay attention to you. But with that in mind, I know that music is a big deal to our students. I wanted to kind of come up with some ways for our kids to be able to make their own music. And we know that like freestyle battles and stuff in the courtyard or the cafeteria happen all the time, and I think that's a really cool, creative thing that I'm not able to do, but I want to help record the kids doing that so they can, you know, have their own 3-minute track of them basically expressing themselves, even if it's just picking on the person next to them shoes or something like that, whatever it is. So I've also worked with Rob and Scott Wagner. We've kind of had 2 trains of thoughts on how to make music, and a lot of what I was interested in is like digital music production and stuff. I found a bunch of really cool iPad apps. This one is a drum machine. You guys probably can't hear that well, but it'll just record. It's got a bunch of pre-programmed sounds. This drum beat right here actually was one that a kid made on Wednesday. And this is just playing around. You can see the little squares down here lighting up. That's just him putting that in. It's okay, I won't spend long on this. But if you guys want to take a closer look, you definitely are more than welcome to. Then I kind of went in and added some stuff. The couple beats that I made were dance. That's why I bought this expensive case. The few things I've come up with were kind of like dance, house music oriented, but there are like more kind of hip hop, something that the kids might think is a little cooler, more akin to what they listen to the most. And the cool thing about this app is you can record over it. So one of the new challenges would be like make a beat and then just record yourself rapping over it and export it as an MP3. You can save it to your phone or email it to somebody or however you want to do it. Another great program is GarageBand that I've got on my Mac, and we've got on a bunch of iPads at the school. And GarageBand has great entry-level stuff that we can use, and all the way up to just full compositions from scratch. That would be a pro level kind of thing that we definitely have to spend some time working on. I found a bunch of other really cool electronic music things that range from kind of simple like this. There's another one called K-Oscillator that I had Mr. Knight playing with a while ago that basically turns your iPad into like a dubstep instrument. Let me turn it up. And you can like play on this little touchscreen right here, and it'll like improvise sounds. That's really kind of cool. And you can record that and export that as an MP3 as well. So I was kind of approaching it from all this digital music kind of perspective, and Rob especially kind of brought an idea of like creating our own instruments from scratch. He showed me a really cool video of this kid had 3D printed a trumpet. It sounded like garbage, but it was really cool, and obviously took a lot of technical skill and know-how to be able to fabricate all those parts and put them together and play. Obviously that's a pro level kind of thing that probably would take a semester to get done. But it could be something as simple as print a little 2-note flute and blow, or like a whistle, and use that on a track that you make through GarageBand or record yourself or something like that. Or it could just be you know, you're sitting at a lunch table and I come up with a microphone